See, make sure everybody knows they're in the right room. This is the North America meeting.
Woo.
Woo, 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 woo.
This is going to
Who's
be
concierging?
Well, that's
Sorry.
a good question. I feel like we should rock, paper, scissors for it.
No, I think someone has assigned it. I'm just wondering who's doing it right now.
Who's doing what? Sorry.
Concierging?
As soon as I see someone in the waiting room, I'm pressing enter.
You're not checking.
He's just.
Oh, sorry. I will be sorry. I'm so used to doing that in all of my classes that I'm just like, oh, my student's here. Just go ahead. I will be good. I'm not touching anything. I'm quiet, I'm quiet, I'm quiet. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
I think it's Anna, technically, the concierge, I think.
Can be.
Yes, Anna, I think I put you down as concierge if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, see, this is the one session I was a little nervous about because at regular Bio Summit, I physically force everybody with the cowbell to go to their regionals.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not subtle about it. So I can't physically shove everybody into all the rooms. So I'm like, y'all better show up.
Well, we should have a crud ton of people too, right?
You guys have, what do we have for the US? What did I tell you guys? 200 and something?
It's 2-something-1. I'm really bad at remembering.
261 or 271.
Okay.
It was a lot.
Yeah, I think you guys were way over because we had a lot of speakers come in who weren't on the list. But yeah, total, you guys were like in the 270s. Africa, we had like 16 attendees. And between the fellows and the people running that session, that's like 7 of them. So that's my
nice to have big conversation.
It would be a lot more, like a lot more people could, attend because of this.
We were talking about that. We need to get the word out in those communities, and that's one of the things David's going to be working the word, because this was a really good opportunity this year for people who couldn't normally come to BioSummit, can't travel to Boston, can't travel to the US or something, to get to see what this sort of event is like, get that experience, at least virtually. I had tons of my students here. We had huge Bay Area representation in Boston and New York, et cetera. But I felt like if there's one criticism I would give us is that we could have done more outreach to get more people involved in this event. Like people from the Midwest or those communities were missing. Africa and Asia also, we didn't have as many attendees as we possibly could have. India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan pulled in the attendees. So Asia is really high because of those 3 countries.
Well, I know that I was trying to get people to come to this, but there's not a really good network in the Midwest, which is something we'll discuss. But there's not a good network here in the Midwest.
Well, it's the Midwest. It's also the South. I mean, where do we need community labs? We need community labs in Alabama and Mississippi and Georgia and Tennessee and
Tennessee, all those of Tennessee where my family is.
757 had it they're in Norfolk, Virginia. They had a pretty good. They maker space, they're moving towards
Norfolk,
Ohio with the mushrooms.
The coasts I feel are pretty good because we had Norfolk, Virginia. We've got Florida has some stuff going on. But that center of the country.
When we were setting up Chi-Town Bio, we were looking for other Midwestern labs to connect with, and we could find skeletons of old things. We could find Capital Labs in Ohio that had their website up still, but it was just abandoned. We could find one in Wisconsin that was abandoned. We could find one in Chicago that was abandoned. And really quickly, we started organizing people, and there was enough demand that a bunch of the people who came to our original meetings from the suburbs started BioBlaze just because they connected at the original Chi-Town Bio meetings and were like, let's set something up closer to us. So I think there's a need for them here. It's just, there's not a good way to find them. I'm sure that's the same in the South as well.
Andy, I'm curious, what was did you find a commonality why all these biolabs had kind of started up and kind of fizzled out in the Midwest?
As a Michigander, because I'm originally from Metro Detroit, I think that one of the problems we have in the Midwest is that it's public transit outside of the major cities is crap. And so it's, we talked to a bunch of labs when we started up. And so we talked to Ellen Jorgensen, we talked to some people from the Bay Area, the different labs, and everyone's like, go really close to public transit, make sure there's a lot of parking. And there's public transit outside of the major cities is not there. And so getting people to your space is tricky. that's one thing. There's a bunch more. It's probably also just, I know we actually applied for grants here in Chicago and we were told that science isn't cultural too. We can't apply for cultural grants in Chicago because we're not culture. And so there's, I think, a lot of skepticism in funding in the Midwest.
That's so odd. It's like, have you heard about the fact that art schools are foraying into bioart? Like it's
I teach bioart at the biggest art
and they're
school
like
in Chicago.
they're like no.
Yeah, no, it's
not culture TM.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully things are changing though. And you know, I think that what's weird about the US is that every state and every region, everything's different. So probably the problems in Chicago are not what sunk the one in Madison or the one in Columbus. So who knows?
All right. So real quick. So who's leading the discussion today here?
I'm going to start leading it, and then we're going to break into breakout rooms, and then there will be, I think, Chaz and Onya, you guys are leading the individual breakout rooms, right?
Who's setting up your breakout rooms and who's host?
It's been done.
Okay.
We're on top of it, Maria.
Just double checking. I'm checking on all of my rooms.
No, we appreciate that.
David and I micromanage a little bit when it comes to the day of. You may have noticed. Me less so. I trust y'all. Mostly.
I feel like qualifying that is a very good call.
Well, it's that mom sort of trust. You know, Corinne, I think you know what this is. You know, I trust my kids. I love my kids, but I trust them with the way a mom trusts them.
Yeah.
Where you keep an eye out for them. You know, Carolyn, I see you laughing. Do you have that too? Where even, you know, in their 20s, you trust them, but you know them.
I just want to call out something that's on the chat. Eugene, can you hold on to that thought? I think that's such an important point. We're going to be working on a mural board in a little bit. But yeah, that's a huge issue about transit in the United States.
Oh, look, people are rolling in.
Going right in the notes.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, North America.
Or good afternoon. Welcome to North American session, everybody.
One minute, Andy.
Oh, I'm on this. I could do some vocal warm-ups or something for everyone.
I couldn't find any funny hats or costumes since I moved stuff into storage, but I found my gem instructor badge last year.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I got all my flair on there as well.
I should
Can't you
find
wear
my
some of your mushrooms?
challenge like badge.
Andy, can you start sharing the slides? Sorry, just so people know the naming conventions.
Sure. Let me, whoop, oh, crap, just a sec. I will go full screen.
I kind of want to play that clip from the Freeman show. Good morning, afternoon, night, if I don't see.
Oh, why is this not doing this? I'm going to exit full screen, sorry. Is anyone also who's a co-host better able at sharing their screen? Because this is for some reason not working on my computer right now.
No, it looks great.
Did it? Okay, all right, I will go back to doing that.
Yoshi said they're not able to unmute themselves.
I know we're gonna have a 10-minute intro right now, and then when we go to breakouts, they'll be able to unmute. I was just.
Could someone else share their screen all the same though? Because I realized I can't do my notes and for what I'm supposed to be saying and the screen at the same time. A really obvious thing that for some reason I did not think about.
I could do it for the intro.
That's
we're
awesome.
just
Thank you so much.
Let me pull up that presentation slide real quick.
Thank you. I realized that I would lose my notes, and that's my safety blanket.
It's all good. We got it.
Hi, everyone. We're just getting everything set up. We will start in just a second. You are in the right place probably though. This is the North American regional session. So welcome everybody. We're gonna get going in just a second. Do you want me to share the link or you
I
got it?
got it. It's just loading. Just trying not to get my computer to yell at me.
I feel like I've learned a lot about needing to get a better computer during all of this. Welcome everyone. Feel free to change your name to the naming convention in the participants, and then also introduce yourself in the chat.
So I'm going to go ahead and go full screen. Just let me know when you want me to progress slides.
Okay. Should we dive right in or give everyone another minute just to let people continue to... Let's dive right in.
Dive right in.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, what were you saying, Maria?
oh, I said just start.
Yeah, let's go for it. Welcome everyone. This is the North American Regional Breakout Session. Make sure that you are letting us letting us know who you are by changing your name in the participants. The standard form, you guys probably know it by now. We're at the last day of the session. I'm gonna hide my phone and that way I don't have to play around with muting it. Make sure you're muting your sound when you're not talking. Have your camera on if possible. We wanna see everyone's warm and happy faces out there. And feel free to use the chat. Please introduce yourself. I can see a bunch of people from labs that I'm recognizing and names that I'm happy to see. So thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the regional session. Craig, should you go to the next slide? Thanks. Make sure that you are visiting the website, looking in on the Slack. There are a bunch of notes that are there. We're also going to be taking notes on this session. And also make sure that you are aware of the code of conduct. And if you have any concerns or if you see any potential violations, make sure you are writing this email address for any concerns that you may or may not have. Could you go, I'm sorry, I'm doing weird arm things. We want to make sure that let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. I want to make sure that we are thanking our sponsors. Thank you so much to everyone who made this summit possible. We are going to be starting up with our session right now though. So we'll go to the next slide really quickly and we'll just introduce things. Hello and welcome to the North American session for the 2020 Global Community Biosummit. Today, a number of the summit fellows are here and we're going to be leading a number of conversations on how we can elevate the interconnectedness of various biolabs across our continent and improve the ways that we are conducting science communication and lab function during this crucial time for our regions and the world at large. So before we start, we're just going to go through and introduce ourselves for this breakout session. We're going to just go in the order across the screen that you see here. So we're going to start by letting Anna introduce herself, and then we'll just go right across.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ana Ibarra. I am a co-founder of Shinampa in Salinas, California.
You've already heard my voice at this point. I'm Andy Scarpelli. I am the co-founder and president of Chi-Town Bio, and we are in Chicago, Illinois.
Hello, everybody. So glad to see you all. It's been such a great BioSummit so far. My name is Carolyn Angleton. I'm from Sacramento, California. I'm affiliated with SAC BioArts and ARC back at the American River College.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chaz Childers. I'm an engineer at OpenTrons in New York and very excited for everything that's happened so far and excited for what's to happen. So pass it to Christina.
Christina, are you here? You know what? If she comes in, we'll introduce her later. Corinne, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Corinne Takara. I'm a STEAM educator, and I'm with the BioLab Shinampa, and that's in Salinas, California. But I'm in Cupertino.
Hi, everyone. My name is Craig Truster. I'm a applied mycologist, educator, citizen scientist, and I talk about soil ecology and fungi, and I'm stoked everyone's here to share all our experiences about community biology in North America.
Hi everyone, my name is Mackenzie. I'm a master's student studying herpes viruses at Université de Montréal. I'm also part of the biomakerspace BrickoBio here in Montreal. And yeah, I'm excited for this panel or discussion.
Hello everyone, my name is Onye Ahanotu. I consider myself a research and development generalist and artist. I'm at Counterculture Labs in Oakland, California. And I'm looking forward to moderating one of the breakout sessions today.
Sophia, are you here right now? Hopefully she will show up in a little bit and we can introduce her at that point, but we are going to plow forward. We've set up the majority of this session as a discussion, meaning we're gonna really want this to be a chance for as many of you to talk as possible. The themes we're dealing with overall are going to be nearly universal and will require input and opinions from as many of us as we can hear from. Because of this, there are just a number of norms that we just want to throw out and that we hope that everyone can respect before we start this conversation. So a couple things we want everyone to remember is that allow time for other speakers. Try to limit yourself when you are talking to be in charge of the conversation for less than a minute so that we can really get some rapid fire conversations between a lot of people. Everyone has a lot of things to say and we get that. 1 minute is going to be a great way to start a conversation and bring up really great points. Try to remember the rule of 3 before me. Allow other people to talk so that we don't have any of the conversations dominated by one person or the other. Make sure that you give everyone else a chance to talk before you talk a second time. 3 people before you talk again is a great rule of thumb. Make sure you stay muted if you're not addressing the community. Use the chat to raise your hand at the participants in order to gain attention from the moderators so that you can share with the group. We're going to be monitoring the chat and making sure that we let people who brought up really good questions or ideas have a chance to speak. This is a community of support and inclusion, so make sure you're being respectful for each other and assume that everyone is speaking with positive intent. Try to make sure that you're here to support one another. Thumbs up and other reaction animations are highly encouraged because we want to make sure that everyone knows when someone's saying something that really resonates with everyone else in the conversation. In today's session, to organize our thoughts, we're going to be using Miro boards. To walk us through how these will work, Corinne has done a really great job of setting these up for us and is going to walk us through a really quick 1 to 2 minute tutorial to provide us a little bit of information on how these work.
Sorry, just unmuting myself. Hello everyone. This is really exciting to be able to use this tool. I've used this tool with teens in remote learning camps this summer, and I think we actually have one here, so she can also be a helper in our breakouts. So to use Miro, it's really important to use the navigation tool at the bottom right. And I have to move my panel so I can see it. This is your map control, and basically, what Miro is a virtual dry erase board with post-it notes. To zoom in, you click on the little plus signs, and then you can pan and select a post-it note to write on. When you come to the question you want, so we've got 3 different sections here, you can select a post-it note, and it automatically has a type cursor, so you can type on it. That's one way, besides the conversation you're having in your breakout sessions, that you can talk to each other. Post-it notes also live on the side here, so you can select different options here. And for some reason, I'm not seeing the post-it note right now. You can also duplicate, so I'm just going to duplicate this one. So you can duplicate a post-it note and continue writing on it. And again, be sure to use the navigation tool on the far right bottom, otherwise it's really hard to navigate. We've broken this up into 3 different sections. And I'm at my limit because we're at 10 in my California time. But I hope that's helpful. So again, you have post-it notes. We have more on the side as well that you can grab. And we also have this toolbar that you can grab post-it notes and also connect thoughts to using the arrows. And that's it. So I'll stop sharing screen.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Corinne. Hopefully we will use those. Make sure you're in there. You should have access to be able to write everything when you get into those rooms. So just a couple things really quickly. I want to make sure that we can get to those conversations. So we're going to be breaking into two main rooms. These are going to be relatively large. There are a lot of people here from North America, but we're excited to have these conversations. We're going to be trying to do two separate rooms with two different conversations. In the first conversation room, we're going to be discussing problems with faith in science during this pandemic. During the last few months, anti-science sentiment has been on the rise alongside conspiracy theories, mischaracterization of experts, research and professionals. As scientists, science practitioners, and science enthusiasts, our communities includes those on the front line of communicating good science and meaningful science. We want to discuss the insights and ideas for creating buy-in into a world of science, removing the otherness of science, and effectively using social media. In our second room of the conversation, we are going to be focusing on the challenges of the pandemic itself. Our conversation will be resolve around COVID and the current pandemic. How have your labs been working and how have your spaces been staying open? How are you getting funding and making sure it's sustainable during this very much different world? And how are we building access when access is so diminished during all of this? We're going to take a couple minutes to just move into the breakout rooms. Please make sure that you are ready to discuss the topics of your rooms. If other topics of interest come up and dominate the conversation, feel free to explore those other issues under the steerage of our esteemed moderators. So if we could, we'll start switching into the breakout rooms. Hi, everyone. We're going to let people just filter back into this main room, but hopefully that was a great conversation. I don't know which room I was in, one or two, but it was nice. I think that we had a lot of really good points and good feedback that was made. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the floor over to people from both of the two rooms to let everyone kind of express what they talked about. But make sure that if you see any feedback, if something is really resonating with you, add it into the chat, write a couple of words or a sentence to just describe how you felt or what things really resonate with you. Make sure you are using the reactions. I am very big fan of this confetti one, so use it all the time. But just pop up, share the thoughts. Sorry, I saw a hand up and then it went away, so it's all good. But is anyone from the first room ready to just kind of share what you guys talked about? And are y'all, sorry, I'm bad with. To be clear, that was the room led by Chaz. Were you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So anyone from Chaz's room that wants to share out? Because if not, I'm going to make Chaz do it in like 5 seconds.
Yeah. And just to give a high-level overview of what we were chatting about, again, it was basically, you know, this mistrust in science and accessibility. And I think we touched on a lot of really, really great points, but unfortunately, we didn't have a ton of time to really dive super deep into any of them. But I saw a lot of great ideas on the Miro board as well. And Adarsh, I see your hand up. Did you want to add?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things we were talking about is like getting people to buy into science. Like, how do we make sure that people who aren't comfortable with a lot of the facts going on around like COVID-19 and just science in general, like how do we like bring them into our community and like make sure that people can trust in all of the thing and all this and all the science that's going on and all the research that's going on. So a few things we talked about was like addressing youth, because youth don't always have like super solidified perspectives of stuff. So teaching youth is important. We also talked about making stuff like approachable, like having it appear good, but also allowing people to like work in labs and all have all those opportunities. So just kind of pushing out the message as far as possible. We also talked about spreading science through social media and how we can do that effectively. And I think another of the main things we talked about is how to appeal to people's emotional side, because a lot of people are very emotional about their beliefs and all of that, and how to bring the logic of science and all of that into people's emotional reasoning.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary. And one other thing that we touched on too is, you know, just during this time of the pandemic, connecting more. We shared this, and I'm going to put it in the chat, this document. I'm kind of new to this community myself. And so I'm not aware of, all of the endeavors that have been undertaken to collaborate across labs in North America, but this is one of them. If people have other suggestions of things that they're involved in, I mean, we're all here together. This is one of these things that brings people together. But Jogel is another one. And, half of us were in this room talking about, all the things that Adarsh highlighted. Does anyone want to contribute their own thoughts that was in the other breakout session?
Yeah, in our breakout session, I guess I was moderating it, and we touched on two big things. One, there's a little bit of overlap with COVID and what are people doing during these COVID times in the past 7 months, and also how can we start to learn from each other, both positive and negatives, and also how can we support each other and build more interconnectedness, just better opportunities for us to learn from each other and also sustain our own individual labs. So I think there were two people who were gonna, we had like a really interesting discussion that, spanned a bunch of topics. So I think Carolyn and Corinne were going to give a brief overview of some things that jumped out.
I can start. I would like to just first share the screen, and Carolyn, you can jump into, but this is the mirror board we're working on. We had a lot of really great thoughts from participants, and we also talked about, Chaz, I know you just mentioned about like creating a list. So that was something that also was brought up, an opportunity to create a list with the aim for cross advertisement and support. So this is something that Wendy brought up that I thought was really good. And then maybe Tal wants to address, there is a, existing doc that's a centralized resource docs. It's a forum. So Tal, do you want to speak to exactly what this is? Because it sounds like it's overlap with what Chaz just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, the idea of putting together one of these, essentially a shared centralized resource, and the form of it is not entirely decided just yet. It could be a newsletter, it could be a website or a mix or whatever, where you can share events, information about labs, essentially a single kind of go-to resource where all this is available. And especially because oftentimes, maybe one lab will have events going on this week and then one will have going on next week. And so to keep engagement constant, essentially throughout, you can share a lot of these resources and have kind of a centralized place to put all this. And so I threw together a quick and dirty Google form, which it looks like is being screen shared, thanks Corinne, where you can just put in like your name and email if you'd like to kind of stay in the loop on this. And then we're planning on having a conversation maybe a few days down the line, getting us all back together and having a discussion on what we can put together and how to make this thing best serve our labs.
Cool, thank you. I just want to call out the nice dragon head, whoever did that. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing screen. Carolyn, do you have anything to share? Thank you, Tal.
And just to add onto what Tal was saying, I know Patrick, I think he shared something in the chat as well. There's a list serve of sorts, like an email list of, could you remind us, Patrick, or somebody who sees it in the chat? I don't see it correctly.
It's a network of independent biospaces, which we set up a couple of years ago to be a private channel for community lab organizers. It is primarily dominated right now by North America labs, but I don't mind if other labs join as well from all over the world. That's fine with me. Yeah, if you want to be on there, I have a link right there for a little spreadsheet to collect emails. I can send out an invite link the way it's set up. We have to add people one at a time, but there's several people on here that have admin privileges on that list as well.
And also connected to, having a hub of sorts of resources, maybe of interactions of, how do you talk to a landlord? How do you deal with the FBI? These sorts of things. Maria brought up something really interesting, which was this concept of DIYbio.org. It seems like there was a organizational push to unify North America under biosphere, and that's kind of, you know, not maybe taken off as we would like it to, but there's an opportunity to centralize and kind of combine our efforts into this DIYbio.org that has been operating for 12 years and seemingly has a good amount of curated content, but kind of working with that. And I think we're actively looking for people to volunteer and to really take responsibility to help make this happen and help connect us in a meaningful way.
And if you want to volunteer there, where do you go?
Maria, would you like to? Nope. I guess no, Maria.
No, sorry. I'm trying to turn everybody else down, so you don't get that bleed through. Yeah, let's go ahead, and if somebody can gather names for people who are interested in that. That's something the organizers have talked about a little bit. If we're interested in that, let's go ahead and get a group of people who are interested specifically in helping to curate that information. As I said in our breakout, what happened with DIY Biosphere is they built this really nice framework for the community to use to share resources, to post resources, et cetera. And we waited for the community to go ahead and do that. And the community is never going to do that. They're never going to push information out. We have to pull it from them. So we need an active group out there reaching out, getting people's info, et cetera, and figuring out how to do that instead of passively letting it come to us. So that's one of the groups.
Sorry, no, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just, on the North American contact document that we've been sharing earlier, there is a column of what would you like to do? And we would love to get some people to say that they would like to contribute to that. That way we have your contact information and we can start organizing something. I'm going to share. Oh, well, someone just shared it too. So that's cool. Having it shared twice is all the better. We have 7. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Maria.
No, I was going to say, so some of the things we talked about as far as like things people can be working on is DIY Biosphere. We talked about people just make some commitment. So that is the craft here, guys. The craft from Able is we're not leaving this meeting. It's like a car dealership. We're not leaving the meeting without everybody making a commitment. Okay. And it's not, you're not committing for life, but what's an action you can take in the next 2 to 4 weeks that you'll do to help pull this region together to be a little bit stronger, whether it is helping another lab out, whether it is helping get a newsletter together, whether it's helping with DIY Biosphere. Let's make some real concrete actions people think they can help with. So that's it. That's the mom pitch. I'm giving it to every room right now.
And it's a good pitch because I think one of the things that came up in our conversation, probably in the other room, is that one of the things that we're struggling with is that we don't have a good network to support each other. And so we're really trying to make sure we have as many ways to do that as possible. Please sign up. Please make sure that you are looking at all the things that multiple people have talked about here as ways of actually making sure that we can connect with each other and maintain communications that it doesn't come till next October and then go, oh yeah, these people. So we want to make sure that that's happening. We have 5 more minutes, and I would really love to hear if anyone has some closing thoughts or some interesting topics. Make sure you're limiting yourself if you're going to be one of the closing speakers to a minute. Time yourself, and I will mute you if you don't. But I would love to hear some closing thoughts from people. And please mute yourself if you're not talking too, just because there's some weird background noise.
I'm going to say one more thing to shame you all. I shamed the other group. Every Latin America, Europe, and Africa all have tighter regions than we do. They have had regional meetings. They're planning their regional biosummits. They're tighter knit communities. North America, get your shit together. And that's for me too.
And I do think we can get our shit together. Thank you, Maria. I think this shutdown is providing us with online opportunities and connections like we have never had before. And I want to go back to a comment Latasha made about kids are really looking for somebody other than their parents to connect to. And I think also all of us are not our parents. We just don't want to talk to everybody that's in our house so much, or maybe not, but connect. We have the chance. This is our chance.
I think as North Americans, we have this, for some reason, desire to be cowboys, and we need to stop being alone on the range. We need to start connecting to each other. Tim, you have your hand up. Go for it.
Yeah, just real quick. It maybe is a little bit out of left field, but it's just something I kind of want to put out there and might be a continuing discussion. But, we're talking a lot about like, yeah, well, we can get out there and we can do it and we can build these networks. And Maria's talking about pulling the information that is great out of it. And that's really bringing to the front of my mind, how do we create resourcing and space for that? Like, as a driver, because that's all energy, that's all work. And, that's really something bubbling up for me is to this sort of resourcing discussion.
We'd love to hear from more people. Please raise your hand if you want to talk really quickly. I think that Tim has a great point. And if you are thinking about these things, we have this way of connecting with each other on that document. If you think of something, share it with everyone, because we would like to find ways to actually do this. So if you have a great idea, let's commit to actually trying it.
So Andy, oh, sorry. I just wanted to add in terms of the doc, I'm just starting to add columns at the very end on actionable items. So if you want to join a group that's going to focus on, scheduling the next meeting that we have, or you want to work on the newsletter, please put your name in that column. And also right now, if we could also add other thoughts into past that, like what other action items or roles might there be? Because as Maria said, if we leave here without committing to specific things, it's not going to happen. So maybe we could spend a minute and think about what other things could go in there.
We have 2 minutes, so.
Yeah, if people are in the doc, please add a column with
Yeah.
the column.
And kind of one thing too. So I think kind of this momentum is really important. Maria brought that up, which is good. We should be scolded in, a little bit because it's important. But I think too, the big thing we can kind of do is like a lot of the work that I'm trying to do, which is like, just like, especially in biosim, I'm just like, just to hell with it. I got to focus on biosim and other stuff. Just the events, because it's so much work to like produce a free or paid event and broadcast it. So if we're cross promoting them, that's going to save so much time. We're like, okay, like cool, for a week I can like focus on the governance SOP thing, because I know one of my other fellow labs is going to be doing an event. We're going to push all that network and just be like, hey everyone, check it out. And then there's a little sidebar for the people that aren't facilitating that can maybe talk about those things. So maybe that's the gap where DIY Biosphere, this amazing platform that's there, we can utilize these tools that are already set up. We don't need to rebuild I made a joke of like Joggle, like just one giant mailing list. We don't need to do another one. We already have these resources. So, I'm starting to build some events. I'm happy to do some stuff on soil and mycology and other stuff. And that's something I've been trying to do with my own thing. And then also Biotech Without Borders. So I think that might be the lily pad to move on to the bigger things that we're all into. Because at the end of the day, like this has been so great, such an amazing weekend to like connect and do all these amazing workshops. Why don't we just carry that over like throughout the year as a North American thing? And we have all these channels through BioSummit to stay in contact with.
So I think that's where we're going to have to end things, because I think we are leaving in less than a minute. But a couple things really quickly. Make sure you are adding to those lists. Make sure you are putting your name and signing up for things. Number 2, make sure you are committing to doing something, because we want to make sure this network stays together. And number 3, acknowledge how great it was to be part of this conversation. Thank you so much, everyone, for being part of this. This was great. Hopefully, we will be inspired to make sure that these networks we're talking about actually come into fruition. So we need to actually be part of that for that to happen. So thank you guys y'all so much for being part of this. Thank you, everyone who contributed. Let's make sure that we take that
family photo.
Oh, sorry, go for it. Someone else do it.
Family photo. That's what I was just going to jump in and remind.
You lead then.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I don't know actually take the photos.
What's the protocol? Get something in your hand and turn your videos on and say something interesting. Should we say like...
Get ready for this. I don't know who's going to take it, but someone who can do this, take some darn pictures.
All right, ready?
Yanni's got it. Okay.
Make sure you get each screen, Chaz. You got to go through 3 screens. Ready?
All right.
Count us
Everyone,
down.
ready? 1, 2, 3. Wow, so many interesting things. See it, plants, glasses, swag everywhere.
Thank you again, everyone. This was wonderful.